Hello jungle mains and welcome back to the channel. We've missed you guys the last couple of years. My name is Perry, I am a retired ex-pro who played on teams like Dignitas and Disguise, and I've also been challenger since season 10. Now I spend my time and days teaching students how to dominate in the jungle. You full combo him here, and he flashes out. Here's the little cane orb, so I would leave right away. In this episode, we will go over the top 5 jungler picks for beginners. A couple of ground rules as we start. We assume you are gold or below and are just starting to learn jungle. No ranged champions or complicated kits allowed. We don't want you worrying about things like auto spacing and teammate follow-up as much. First up, it's Warwick. This shouldn't be a big surprise, but in case you've been sleeping downstairs from Malphite, here's a quick breakdown. His abilities are well suited to clearing and cleaning up messy kills, a staple of the constant fights in this elo. In particular, the movement speed he gets while chasing low enemies will make your ganks way more forgiving. Also, his ultimate is a great engage or flee tool and scales with your movement speed. Lastly, his lifesteal and damage reduction can really help you clutch those fights and gain early game tempo and mid game tempo so you can 1v9 your game. Just be aware though that with Warwick, you fall off in late game power, so do not let the games go on too long. The best way you can do that is by early game dragon stacking and focusing on getting those grubs, the herald, the autocon, and making sure you're breaking those turrets. For the build, you have some flexibility depending on the game. You want to start with Stridebreaker and then get into a Bork second. Then you can build a either Spirit Visage or Thornmail depending on the game, finishing up with a Jack Show and Sterak's Gauge. If you need some tenacity, go with Sterak's, and if you want some more durability, go with Jack Show. For runes, go Lethal Tempo and Triumph, Alacrity and Last Stand. Then you go into Celerity and Water Walking, so you are unkillable in the river. Warwick really synergizes with stacking move speed compared to other junglers, which allows him to be really fast at running around the map and impacting everywhere. Before we go into pick 2, did you know you can get more coaching each week from me? Join the Jungle Kingdom and get access to daily group coaching sessions, tools to help you track your improvement, one in-depth offline VOD review per month, and much more. He's going melee range, he's getting hooked in, you can walk at him, QW auto E auto. Next at number 2, let's talk about the boogeyman that makes ADCs and mid laners check under the bed. It's Nocturn. Nocturn's kit is even simpler than Warwick's and revolves around using his Q for damage and chasing enemies downs while also giving him AD. He also has an incredibly useful spell shield and tethered fear. His built-in lifesteal with his passive makes his clear extremely forgiving, and on top of that, he comes online when he has his ultimate, allowing him to dash on any champion in range, absolutely stomping anyone you get on. Much like Warwick, you can pick up a lot of easy kills when your opponents don't respect this ability. For builds, the most OP right now is Stridebreaker and then Cleaver. We don't want to go Experimental Hexblade because it gives you no ability haste. That's why we go Cleaver, so we have ability haste for all of our basic spells and our ultimates. Going to 3rd and 4th item, we want to buy a Death Stance and a Sterak's. You do also have the option to go into Lethality as well if the enemy is full of squishy carries, but be aware that you have to be way more careful about the fights you pick. For runes, you can either go Conquer or Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand following. Making sure to pick up Domination Secondary for Sudden Impact and Ultimate Hunter, so our ultimate comes up as soon as possible. Coming in at number 3, it's the AoE Destruction Machine Diana. Similar to Nocturn, Diana strives at full clearing and diving swishies, while also having the ability to be a strong bruiser who can go toe-to-toe with any jungler. It's also nice to have an AP option in the back pocket, just in case your team is composed of something silly like a Vayne top, Zed mid, Draven ADC, and Pyke support. Her kit is pretty easy to pick up, minus the curved Q. You will want to get good at landing it, as it is a vital spell for her dash to become a 0-second cooldown. This is extremely strong for ganking enemies in the early game, and helps in the mid-late game when you're playing fights, so you can apply the in and out theory, which we'll touch up on in another video. She also gets a decent shield that also damages the enemies when she gets near them. Just be aware that her champion isn't quite as forgiving as Warwick or Nocturn due to needing a decent lead and CS from the early game. For runes, go Conquer into Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Then branch out into Inspiration for Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight. Even though Diana is an AP champion, she gets incredible value from the attack speed as it allows her to be able to get her passive proc more often, and it's also very nice to have Conquer because she can activate Conquer really quickly in these fights. She's also an engaged champion who really likes to start fights or go in second after her teammates, so having her flash on a lower cooldown with Cosmic Insight is incredibly strong. For Diana build, we recommend 2 different ideas depending on the composition of the enemy team. If the enemies are extremely squishy, we want to go Nash's Tooth into Rabadon's Deathcap, and we want to finish that off with a Shadow Flame or Zhonya's Hourglass. And if the enemies are relatively tanky with multiple bruisers and tanks, we want to go Liandry's into Riftmaker, and then we can finish off with either a Bloodletter's Curse, Death Cap, or maybe even a Zhonya's if you need a panic button. Our last few items can always be some sort of AP item that gives you some HP, or you can go for something more tanky like Unending Despair for more survivability, even though we are an AP champion. Want to learn how to kite jungle camps with Diana, track the enemy jungler, and time your tempo without inting the game? Sign up for Jungle Kingdom using the link down below, and the coaches and all the other resources will have you clearing like a pro in no time. Next and fourth, did autofill push you in jungle? Troll it back by going the Troll King Trundle. Trundle is one of those picks that rarely goes out of style. With sustain and terrain control, it's hard to go wrong with the king of the trolls. His kit is surprisingly good for ganking with a huge domain, speeding him up, allowing him to chase down his opponents, and an auto attack reset allowing him to kite enemies at lightning speed. His ult helps him survive while softening enemy tanks, but the real star of the show is his pillar that blocks and slows enemies wherever he likes. It can deny access to choke points and even cancel enemy dashes with some practice. For runes, make sure to go press the attack into Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand for upfront burst. He procs press the attack insanely fast and efficiently, as you can use his Q as an auto attack reset. There are some cases where you do want to go lethal tempo. In the event that the enemies have a lot of strong melee champions, lethal tempo will give you that advantage to beat these melee champions. Secondly, we'd be dipping into the inspirational tree for magical footwear and approach velocity. Having approach velocity in particular is borderline cheating if the enemy has no crowd control. They're literally never going to get away from you with your pillar. For the build, we are taking Trinity Force into Deadman's and Spirit Visage third. If the enemy team is tanky and you are snowballing, consider going Blade of the Rune King second, as it's going to give you a lot more options of actually killing the enemy and snowballing the game. Be careful though, you're going to be very squishy, so you need to make sure to play really slowly in fights. Depending on how the rest of the game goes, you can either pick up a Thornmail, maybe even a Jack Show, or a Titanic Hydra so you can actually finish the game and close things out. Last but not least, we have the infamous teamfight god, straightforward and reliable mummy of the jungle, Amumu. He's not as strong as the other junglers early game, but once you hit level 6 and unlock his ultimate, he's still plenty capable of carrying games, especially in low elo. Pick Amumu if you've been sick and tired of losing teamfights, and you want to have the control of being able to engage fights by yourself, stunning the entire enemy team while also dealing plenty of damage. This champion is slightly weak pre-6, so you do have to be careful of early invades and aggressive champions who can stomp you like Rengar, Shaco, or maybe even Nidalee. His kit is simple yet surprisingly deep. The basis is that you have a long range skill shot in your Q, which allows you to dash to opponents while also stunning and damaging them. 3/4 of your abilities are AoE spells, so you really want to queue into the enemies and get on top of everyone else with your ultimate, with your flash, so you can maximize the effectiveness of all your spells. For runes, go Conquer into Triumph, Legend Haste, and Last Stand. In the second cherry tree, we're either going Inspiration with Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight, or Domination with Sudden Impact and Ultimate Hunter. Both secondaries are very valuable because you want to have your ultimate up earlier, but you also want to have your flash up earlier. So depending on what you value more, your ultimate or your flash, you can actually decide on which rune to go second here. There's no real wrong answer. For the build, we recommend going Liandry's first since most of Amumu's spells are AoE and they scale heavily off AP. You can easily proc Liandry's on multiple enemies while fighting, followed by Sunfire into Abyssal Mask using the same line of thinking. Because we're going to be in the group of enemies, we will get a lot of AoE value. Liandry's is really the only damage item needs to thrive, so we are finishing the build with even more tank items like Thornmail and Jack Show. We want to apply these AoE debuffs to as many people as possible in fights, so we want to be all over the enemies, flashing in, queuing in, and starting fights. If you notice your teammates are incredibly behind, and you're the only person able to carry the team, you can adjust your build to have some more damage by sneaking in a Zhonya's or a Bloodletter's Curse, maybe even a Riftmaker, which allows you to actually deal the damage you need to maybe carry the fight by yourself. Alright guys, I hope this has been helpful. If it has, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for the channel. For any eager junglers looking to boost their improvement, don't forget to check the description for a Jungle Kingdom link. Thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you out on the Rift.